Hello and welcome to an episode of The Card Show. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about the WWE WrestleMania madness. We'll touch on the Premier League being pretty much over for this last week as well. F1. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs, touch on them, and some middlemen open again for PSA submissions. What that currently means for the sort of UK/European side for grading with PSA. But yeah, let's get into WWE WrestleMania madness. Probably one of the biggest I remember for a long time. Publicly is what I'd say. I think if you follow wrestling, then this is probably just a bit more hype than normal. Maybe I think the Netflix thing has definitely helped. I'm seeing it a lot more because of that for sure. I think the whole Cactus Jack, Travis Scott sort of thing is obviously helped, and obviously they released a Travis Scott / was it Cactus Jack, his sort of alter ego, WWE Tops Chrome, which is obviously limited to the event. I think it's guaranteed auto in each box. Last time I checked a couple of days ago, it was reselling for like 1,500, 1,200 consistently. So big demand for these things, only available on I think Travis Scott's website and live and direct from WrestleMania in Vegas. They weren't available on Fanatics, so I found the other stuff. They got an email, the other stuff, the clothing, other memorabilia, but not the cards. So yeah, a bit of demand for them. I think it was somewhat similar with the Fanatics Fest stuff. If you are in Vegas at WrestleMania, as recording this, obviously the day 2 is about to happen. But yeah, if you have a chance to get these, it clearly looks like an opportunity to buy and list immediately on eBay for big profits. It'll probably help pay for your trip to Vegas and your tickets for WrestleMania. I do have a cousin over there currently at WrestleMania in Vegas, celebrating his birthday. I have said if you can get some, get some. I think it's a very smart play to get them and list on eBay ASAP so you can post them while you're there. Bring back the cash, don't bring back the cards, basically. Yeah, let me know if you guys have done something similar. If you've got friends probably over there, if you managed to get some off the Travis Scott website. But again, I think it's a very good play for people if you were interested in investing. It's a very good way to. I think currently, I think it's like 3-4x, if not more. I think it's like $20-$50 per box. So yeah, you can easily 3x your money for extra money, and it's not very often you can sort of do that. In the hobby on cards, so it's a very good way of doing that. I don't know if they will come available in the future, so I definitely think it's a sort of while strike while the iron's hot sort of thing, first to the market, keep it going sort of thing. It'd be interesting to see what like single cards go for. If there's any big sort of big auto sort of cards in there that people really want, and the price goes up from that, we shall see. But yeah, I won't talk too much about the actual WrestleMania event, partly because obviously day 2 is yet to happen. It's obviously not midnight yet in the UK. I was recording this on a Sunday. New heavyweight champion, we know that part, but yeah. But it's just an interesting play with doing a card podcast to talk about the Travis Scott cards, and yeah, I think I thought it was a very savvy but very good way of maybe getting some money, a very easy way, but a very good way of making money and keeping sort of you in hobby, because I think it's one thing that will keep you in the hobby if you're making money. We saw it during the COVID era where people came into the hobby because they had a lot of money. They were paying COVID prices, which was very inflated. And obviously, when it come to sell a year later, 2 years later, they end up leaving because all of a sudden they had lost 2-3x what they paid, if not more. So yeah, we want to help this hobby grow. Then we probably want to make sure that people can make money in this hobby, and I think this is one way. You don't have to be interested or massively invested in wrestling or Travis Scott to just pick up this purchase. It's a very simple one of obviously looking at data. Yes, it's not the easiest one because you have to either be there or be looking on the Travis Scott website. But if you do have those opportunities, or family or friend are over there, etc., then you have that. And you can always keep an eye on the Travis Scott website, I suppose, for another drop. Let's move on to the Premier League. I know it's going to sound like beating a dead dog. I think the same as last week. Liverpool now 1 win away from claiming their 20th league win. Arsenal all of a sudden are like a scoring machine, by the way. This whole thing that they needed a striker and they just smashed Madrid over two legs. I know it's only Ipswich, but scored four. It's one of the games where usually Arsenal will sort of draw or struggle, get a 1-0 win or something. And that's where they need a striker. But they seem to be performing well. It's like false nine scenario. So fair play to them. It's a shame it's coming too late in the season, but it'd be interesting to see how they go on next season. Or do they now hit their sort of their wall, because they've been kind of consistently second in the league for a couple of years now. And yeah, we'll interesting to see what happens for them next year. Elsewhere, Newcastle dropped big points. The race for third and fourth is obviously hotting up now because Newcastle are playing, obviously, we've got issues with Eddie Howe at the moment himself, so we hope he has a speedy recovery. They are obviously pushing for Champions League themselves. They just won their first trophy in like 70 years. Forest, unfortunately, they do have a game in hand as we're recording this, but yeah, look like maybe their early season start isn't going to continue for the season, and maybe the back end will let them down and they might miss out. Chelsea did win today, I believe, against Fulham. So, but they're quite inconsistent. Man City seem to be clicking into gear. A 2-0 win at Everton is a very good result, especially with how they've been performing lately. Yes, it was in the last few minutes, but 2 goals in 90 minutes is a very good result, no matter if it's last 2 minutes or first 2 minutes. So hopefully they can start. I mean, again, they can't start off with much, maybe a little trophy. I think is it Carabao Cup they're in? FA Cup, one of the cups are in. A trophy and a nice third place finish to end sort of the De Bruyne, and it sounds like a lot of people's era. Maybe Ederson, I think Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, John Stones, to name a few. So yeah, it could be very interesting to see sort of how that ends for them. Formula One this weekend. Piastri is now the leader of the one everyone is chasing. I think I heard this the other week that Lando Norris was so focused on beating Max Verstappen, whereas Piastri was focused on beating everyone. And I think we're seeing this now. I think Norris, I think he's still second. I think he came fourth today, if I remember. A very good race from him, very good tactics from the team. But Piastri, yeah, he is laser focused through qualies, through the race, and yeah, he could go. I think he could go if the car maintains its current trajectory and the upgrades come at the right time. McLaren and Piastri should take both constructors and drivers' championships in this season, respectively. Because yeah, I just don't see many faults in the kid's game. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. I think Max, you got to feel sorry for him driver-wise. I mean, Yuki was out at the third corner, something like that. So he's carrying Red Bull. So Red Bull probably going to finish fourth in the constructors if they're lucky. They just can't get their second driver right. I think that's what McLaren done so well. We're now seeing it a bit with Mercedes as well, with George Russell and Antonelli. I think maybe people thought not so much that Mercedes would struggle, but I think it was because there was this uncertainty about the next driver to Lewis leaving. Maybe there wouldn't be another sort of Bottas, another bit similar to what Red Bull done, right? You get someone who's not up to that standard, but might get you a few points here and help you get over the line. Maybe for Red Bull the grass isn't greener. Maybe should have kept Checo. Liam Lawson didn't work out. Was it 2 races? Yuki, I think he did get points last weekend, but again this weekend he was out after the fourth corner. Yeah, it's a struggle. Whereas Mercedes and McLaren, I picked these 2 young, great drivers who seem to be doing really good stuff. Antonelli's impressed me quite a lot. He's a very young kid. He's yeah, he's managed to drive consistently well over his first 4 or 5 races now, 5 races. So yeah, could be one to watch for the future as well. I'll touch on the NBA playoffs before we get into the PSA stuff. So the NBA playoffs are kicking off. Only game ones around the league at the moment. Big blowout for the Grizzlies. I think it was the worst defeat in the first round, if I remember correctly, at the playoffs. Lakers and Ant-Man. I mean, not disrespect there to the Timberwolves, but yeah, Ant-Man has this, I say aura. He has his vengeance against Lakers, and it's kind of like him versus Lakers. The way he's making it, you know, he will take on LeBron, he'll take on Luka. He's the one that's causing the problem. He's once in the press saying, "We're the underdogs. You know, I like this," and all stuff. Everyone wants the Lakers. He's putting his chip on his shoulder. He's giving it's that Michael Jordan thing, right? He's making it personal. Yeah, it's great to see. I think there's going to be some good series playing out there. Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to be an interesting one as well. Lost the first game to the Pacers. You know, Dame is Dame still. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how it plays out. You know, if you do have an NBA card of these people in the playoffs, you have to kind of hedge your bets smartly here. If you think, you know, if you've got Luka cards and you think Lakers are going to go out, you know, get them listed towards this game 3-4 era, depending on how the series is going. But if it's a blowout, get them listed as soon as possible. If it starts getting to game sort of 6-7, you know, then hold that crescendo. Because if it goes the wrong way and you get beat, it's a bit of a longer haul to maximize the profit. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting run. Was it not Nuggets and Clippers as well? Like overtime, Russell Westbrook, Superman over there. Yeah, but this is the meaty one right here. The PSA submissions, obviously in Europe and sort of the rest of the world. I know Japan, I think it was, they were still allowed to submit to the Japan submitting station. Obviously, we don't have the Germany one yet, so I don't think it would be interesting to see if that would have been allowed still, because he would have sent it to their business in Germany and they would have just transferred it as an American business to American business, I'm presuming. But yeah, so we had this thing where I think within a couple of weeks, right, where it was stopped for the tax, the Trump tax, we say, and then obviously our Trump tax sort of was 10%, so it didn't matter when he sort of paused it and kept it at 10%. But I think PSA was still waiting. They didn't really say much after the pause to say, like, you know, you've got a few weeks to get it all in. But it seems that they've been in contact with a few of their middlemen services, especially in the UK. I've seen a few posts, you might have seen them as well, from middlemen services. You're just saying that they are now accepting submissions. They seem to give a decent-ish date at a time. You know, again, this was 3 or 4 days ago. I think they were given, you know, another 6-7 days, maybe longer for the deadline. Yeah, maybe the end of the month. I can't fully remember. But it's interesting that they've obviously had some sort of communication to say, hey, you know, we can get cards in. Maybe while it's paused, this is a date, get them in, you know, if you can send them over by then. Anything after that, we'll see. So it'll be interesting how it goes forward in sort of the May, June area. But for the moment, if you do really want to get your cards ready for PSA, bear in mind there's going to be a big backlog. I can see that happening. I think there's already a bit of one now. They did announce long ago, sort of change to services and times, etc. So yeah, there's that. But if not, you know, there's other companies out there, I suppose, that don't seem to be having an issue because, you know, either the UK or European. That's another thing to think about. But it's going to be interesting to watch and see. So if you do, yeah, if you don't follow any sort of middlemen or grading service businesses, you know, like Subcenter and Gym Sports Cards in the pod, Investing Soccer / Grading Club, Aaron, so the top 3 I would have said. No particular order. I think they all do different things. If I miss anyone out there, it's not personal. I just can't think right now. But yeah, I say that's sort of top three. They will put information out as well if because again they'll be in touch with PSA probably on a more daily basis than us laymen out here, right? So yeah, they will know a bit more of sending stuff. It'd be interesting to see because of this, not accepting. What happens to your membership? Because I haven't had an email, but my membership ran out to fair I think just before, maybe just a week before or the week of the announcement of them saying that. But I wonder if they, because they didn't take submissions, are they going to give you them months back that you missed out on? So that if they don't take submissions for a couple months direct, or where it's been, do you get any sort of reimbursement for that? Because last time I checked, it was just delayed time. The message was delayed times. So yeah, interesting. Up in there's a list and it's a vintage Chiefs hoodie missing football Sundays. So yeah, it was nice to have a sunny Sunday in Manchester, and I was like, you know what? No football today. Let's put on the Chiefs hoodie. Had some red Patrick Mahomes ones, Adidas on the feet. Even I know it's gonna say it's kind of contradictory. It's a sunny day in Manchester, but also my Chiefs jacket on. I did regret putting that jacket on because it was a very nice day, so I did take it off quite a bit. But it's kind of one of them. Manchester is always sunny, but it's always cold. And to the left, it was kind of cold. But yeah, it was nice to rep the football stuff again, and maybe when I buy a few more stuff, a few more retro jumpers, hoodies, maybe a cap as well. Now that the Fro Hawk, the Maho Hawk, whatever we're gonna call it, is gone, start wearing caps again. But yeah, can't wait. Draft obviously soon, but yeah, need the season back. Hoping for a revenge season from the Chiefs. I'll tell you that for nothing. And also, as we're live and direct on this Sunday evening, the boxing has just finished. Ben Whittaker just absolutely, I don't say dominated, but yeah, he dominated the rematch with Cameron. It was quite emotional afterwards, but he got the job done. Someone that's obviously seen as quite a big prospect in the UK scene and the boxing scene. So it's interesting. He's got his career sort of back on track with that performance. If no one cares again, but boxing's not really big on cards and vice versa. Cards aren't really big on boxing, but maybe that will change in the future with this sort of quote unquote Saudi investment with I think they bought the Ring magazine. They want to do a Ring sort of championship, don't you really? But again, I think if the Saudis were interested, they would have done more with their football league, right? And we'd be getting same way we're chasing the Messi Inter Miami autos, who were chasing Cristiano. It's Al Nassr. He plays with Al Nassr. Al Nassr. Autos. So yeah, that would be a fun one. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it for this week's episode. Quite a quiet one. Quite well. Not a great deal of news. I don't know if I've missed anything. I probably have. I always seem to miss something, and I'm like, afterwards I always think, I should mention that. But I think we had a few card shows, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, not too much to report on this week. So maybe I just bid you a good night and a good day. Hope you're well. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.